Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate you, we inspire you. And today we got a special treat in the education department. I'll tell you what, I had the blessing of meeting this beautiful person, this beautiful soul, amazing, powerful businesswoman. And I love to see women succeed in business because I see my kids, I see my daughter just succeeding in business one day. And I'm honored to have Jennifer Bennett on our show. Jennifer, welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. And I too see my daughters, wanting to be these independent ladies, and that's why I do what I do.
You know, I know the amazing person you are. You're a powerful entrepreneur, business owner. You have an amazing business. But do me a favor, introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show because they don't know who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Jennifer Bennett. I am the CEO and founder of Get Dusty, and two of my most favorite titles are wife and mom.
Wife and mom and get Desky. I you know
Yes.
what? I vouch for Get Desty, but you know, we were having an interesting conversation before we came on, and I thought it was a great topic to kind of open up with because you are a very successful businesswoman. You've been in business many, many years, and you're not, you know, you're the real deal. And I love the fact that you follow up, you're sincere, and even though it might not be for everybody out there, but you're for Daniel Gomez, and we're honored to be working with you, just to let you know. But
Yeah.
that we were
I'm
talking
happy to work with y'all too.
you know, with something that we were talking about before we came on the show off in the back in the studio was like, what do you do when you have a customer, a vendor, a sponsor that like they're not paying you, and then you see them kind of just posting stuff on social media, like how does somebody respond to that? Because I believe that there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe feel that way, like, right? Because you're like, hey man, you haven't paid your invoice for January, you haven't paid it for December still, and it's already 2024. How does somebody handle that? Because you went through that. You were sharing a little bit about you. Talk to us about
Yeah.
what you experienced, Jennifer.
Um, so the first thing I responded to you with is that they're not your tribe. Um, and that goes back to I lost a $50,000 real estate deal because I didn't listen to my gut. And so oftentimes, when we're in the middle of that hustle, we want to do so right by people that we negate a little bit of that intuition that God gives us, and we stop listening to that internal voice that we really should. And I have many cases of this when I was in real estate, even when launching Get Dusky, taking clients that I really shouldn't have, like I didn't have a gut feeling about it, and it always ended. I always try to end amicably, and I think I've been successful in ending contracts amicably with everyone. But it goes back to I shouldn't have done that in the first place.
So if someone is listening to this episode, and ladies and gentlemen, this is where you need to get out your pen, you need to get out your paper, because Jennifer is going to drop some massive wisdom. And remember, what you write down here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, you retain over 50% of the information. And I don't want you just to listen to this. I want you to study this episode because there's going to be a lot of wisdom that Jennifer is going to drop to us. So how does somebody know if someone's not their client, right? I think one thing that I always coach and train on in business is, okay, for me, it's like, do your core values as a business owner for me line up with that other person? And
Yes.
that's one vertical that I use. But talk to us about that, and maybe what are another one or two verticals that Jennifer Bennett uses with Get Desty?
So the main one is core values. If your core values don't align with the core values that we have for Good Desky, it's an automatic no. Some of the other things are if I go to your social media and then I have different interactions than what is on your social media presence, that's kind of a red flag for me because I make it a point to say, show up unapologetically you. You had that experience when we were at that mastermind. I showed up unapologetically me. And I'm not afraid to say no when I know something's not the right time or it's not for me. And I also show up with my kids. So, if somebody says yes, they're about kids, but then they don't want kids at their mastermind, that's kind of a flag for me. And the other thing is really just taking time to actually sit with it, to just like sit and actually think about it, you know, let that internal voice that God gives us, really, um, you know, sit and actually have a chance to speak because once you do, like it's it's amazing the answers that you will get from that.
Yes, I like you said the word intuition earlier. And ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening to this episode, what has your intuition be put in has what has your intuition been putting in your heart? What has your intuition been saying to you that maybe you shouldn't onboard that client, or maybe you shouldn't work with a certain individual or collaborate with them? And you need to start listening to your intuition more. You know what comes to mind with that, Jennifer, is I remember when I first, I started my career in 2018, really January is when I took off and started doing what I was doing. But in that, it's like I was saying yes to a lot of things. And just to get my name out there, to get who's Daniel Gomez, right? I was a new kid on the block. Then my name changed from Daniel Gomez to Daniel Gomez Inspires. And it just kind of like really went to the next level. But then I noticed that I started saying no to a lot of things because I didn't have to say yes anymore. And the moment you start saying no, sometimes those people ain't too kind of that, right? They don't take too kind of it. Has that
No.
ever happened to you?
Yeah, that has happened to me. And through my growth journey, I have learned that says a lot more about them than it does me. So really detaching myself from the outcomes that come from other people and really only worrying about what I can do, what outcomes I can produce. And that even helps me be a better mother because if I go to my kid and I say, you've got to do this, and she throws a fit, that outcome isn't, something that's for me. That's something within her that we have to help her work through. But me just saying, like, you got to clean your room and she throws a fit, I mean, that's her being a kid, and not being able to express herself and being aware enough to know what outcomes I can control and what outcomes I can't.
Well, you say that, and sometimes adults are like big kids, right? Sometimes, sometimes adults are like big kids. It always amazes me when I ask somebody a question, and I'm like, Thank you for your answer, but you didn't even answer the question, right?" And it could be something that's right. I'll ask a question like, "Hey, so what do you think about this?" And they'll like totally deflect and answer something else. Well, I did this. I said like, "Okay, well, great, thank you for that," but you still didn't answer the question, and they deflected it and avoided. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you deflecting the questions that someone's asking you because of your insecurities? Are you deflecting comments? And I always talk about this, right? Like a great example is I say, "Jennifer, man, I love your blouse. It's beautiful." And instead of receiving the compliment, you deflect it and say, "Oh, well, yeah, I bought it on sale." It's like, well, nobody asked you if you bought it on sale. And no, Jennifer didn't say that, ladies and gentlemen. Just an example. But how many times do people say that?
Yeah, yeah. Instead of saying thank you, oh, that means so much to me. Because sometimes, we do try to pay compliments to people and they don't receive them. Um, and I love like being able to give compliments. And for a long time, I wasn't able to receive them because it would make me feel a little awkward. But now, if somebody gives me a compliment, I always try to say thank you. This is Stitch Fix, by the way, so it probably is on sale.
Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you. No. Oh, so let's talk about this a little bit because I think people have a problem having hard conversations. They have a problem sending hard emails or hard text messages. And it's a reality when you're in business, right? When you're in business, payments ain't gonna go through, something's gonna happen. And I think there's many business owners that they still think like an employee and they don't have a conflict resolution. So what are two or three things that you do? We'll just say you've been working with someone and right, they're beautiful people, they're great people, but when it comes to business, maybe they're just not aware of how they're operating their business. Right? We'll just say they're not aware of their daily operations and which includes paying their vendors, paying their bills. Like how does someone go about that? Or what are two or three action steps that you recommend that somebody does and the thing is, you like the people too, right? So, but I liked what you said. This is what Jennifer said before we came on, and she says, "Well, if they're not paying you, it's a little bit of disrespect, Daniel." And I never saw it that way.
It is. It is a little bit of disrespect. So the first thing I do is I always try to come back with compassion because the number one thing, especially when you have people that aren't paying, 9 times out of 10, they're not doing it out of spite. A lot of the times is they're still in that yes phase. And so I always try to come back to them with compassion. And sometimes that can look like, hey, how are you doing? And it has nothing to do with the circumstance of, their bill didn't come through or they haven't done whatever. It's just, hey, are you doing okay? Because sometimes, when we are working with these business owners, they're in the hustle, they're in the grind too, and they really do want to help, and they really do want to support you, but they may have said yes, thinking that a contract was going to come through and it didn't. And they may be dealing with a little bit of insecurity and shame to come back and say, I can't pay that yet. Um, and so I always try to come back with, what if I was in that situation? How would I want somebody to be compassionate and empathetic to me? And that has allowed me to be able to have those hard conversations that really aren't hard because I'm not talking about, I'm not coming and saying, hey, your invoice is due and you haven't paid. Um, I'm saying, how are you as a person and how are you okay right now? Like, what can I help you with? Do you need a vent? Like, what's going on as a person? And then next as a business owner. And then we could talk about the bills later because once you diffuse that, then you're going to get to the heart of what is really going on.
So, what do you do when maybe month number one, I understand, month number two, I understand, but then now you're going into the 90 days.
Um, I think
Does your approach change, or are you still compassionate, or what?
yes, but at that time I get compassionate to where I would say, hey, I know you're struggling. And I saved your spot as long as I physically could, but I'm going to have to give it to somebody else. But when you are able to actually say yes and actually follow through, we can pick up the conversation another time. Um, and then that way you're kind of parting amicably and saying, hey, I know you're struggling right now. I know you need that extra lift, but I do need to move on. And that allows them to understand, like, man, like I really did miss an opportunity and maybe make them work a little bit more. But also it allows them to understand that you are in a different place than they are, and maybe you can coach them up or mentor them to help them get to that spot to where they could go back to, that sponsorship or whatever it is that they need to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about you, right? Because I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer is a legit businesswoman. That's why I asked, right? If you're going to ask somebody for advice or wisdom, Jennifer hasn't been in a month for a week, a year, right? She's been in business. How long have you been in business now, Jennifer?
Oh my gosh, almost 20 years.
20
Um,
years, and she only looks 20.
yeah.
I,
Oh my gosh,
hey,
thank you.
Craig, are you
Oh my
lying,
gosh.
Craig? No, you don't, you're not. How can you be in business 20 years? Like what? You started your business when you were in Pampers or what? True story though.
No.
She does look young in person. We were at a mastermind with a mutual friend of ours, and I'll tell you what, the BLN community, which JR Spears is a leader of that, beautiful human being also. And like you look young in person. So that mean I'm just
Oh,
throwing it out there, right? It is what
thank
it
you.
is. Yeah, I don't know if it's olive oil or whatever it is, but
I was blessed with good genes from my mom. We'll say that.
but you understand business, and so many times everybody wants to be a business owner. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now because it's cool, right? Or they want to be an influencer. And the thing is, they never really take the time, Jennifer, to I always talk about this, right? Kill the employee mindset, and they never take time to develop the business mindset or the business savvy. And then they're running a business or want to be a business owner, an influencer, but they're still thinking like an employee. What are two or three things that you've seen just pertaining to that with people that you have tried to help that really they're like, you're not getting it because you're not thinking like a successful business owner. You're thinking like a 9 to 5er. And nothing against 9 to 5,
Yeah,
right? Because my wife has right. My wife loves her job. She doesn't care to be a Daniel Gomez, right? She says that over and over.
right.
And it's cool. But
Yeah.
if you're going to step into the realm of entrepreneurship and in business, you need to understand that it's a different thought process.
Oh yeah, it's a completely different process. And for me, I was thankful that I grew up around entrepreneurs. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. My mom and dad are entrepreneurs. And one of the things that they instilled in me is that business is business. And you really have to, no matter where your transactions are, if it's with your family or if it's with your friends or if it's with somebody else, whatever coincides within that business is business. You have to leave your family at the door. You have to leave your friends at the door. You have to leave, a lot of things at the door. So that's number one. And then the second thing is the biggest myth is that there's this work-life balance where you can actually have like a stack of like you can stair stack your time. That's not the case. I mean,
Can I
my
get an
day
amen
has
on that
ebbs
one?
and flows. I mean, there is work-life balance, but it's not like color-coded, all pretty, and oh, from this time to this time, I get to do X, Y, Z. Because I mean, I'm a mom. I have an 8-year-old. At any given moment, she could get sick and come and vomit on me. And so allowing yourself the flexibility to know like some days you're going to be more of one hat over the other hat, um and really trying to get rid of those like I have to be completely rigid in my schedule. Yeah, that's been the biggest thing is to shift from that 9 to 5 mindset is like, oh, you work from X time to X time. um and then the other thing that really, really helped me, and I coach real estate agents on this, is setting up your boundaries of engagement ahead of time.
So do you mean this is what came to mind when you said that, and you can kind of tell me your version? It's like, okay, somebody texts you, hey, you call somebody, hey Jennifer, it's Daniel. I'm returning your phone call. I got 5 minutes. Um, what's going on, right? So I set the boundary. I got 5 minutes. So that way they know, like, hey, if they want to keep on rambling and rambling to say or talking, it's like, well, no, I just got 5 minutes. I gotta go. Is that what you mean, or what do you mean?
Yeah, so even a little bit further before that, so what I do is I even do it when I lead generate. So I set up like we have our office hours. And I don't lead generate outside the office hours. I don't respond outside the office hours. My team doesn't respond outside the office hours. So we don't set up that precedent even ahead of time at all. And, it really goes back to setting up when do you want to work? How do you want to work? And sticking to those. That doesn't mean you have to come and be, like strict, straight up, like I have to XYZ, but you can say, hey, we're not in the office right now. We'll get back to you on Monday. And then as far as like the leagues, they're going to come in and, you'll get a lot more respectable people if you set up ahead of time saying, hey, we only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, than if you come in and say, oh, I'll just respond to somebody that texted me at midnight. Oh no, I'm going to be sleeping.
It's funny. I like that you said that because when we do our Millionaire Mind boot camp, one thing that I say is like, if somebody texts you, you don't have to respond. And they're
You
like, what?
don't?
I'm like, yeah, like if you're holding onto your phone and you're anticipating somebody texting you and you text within 1 second, like they got control of you. Like they're controlling your life.
Yeah.
And people don't realize sometimes how reactive they're being or how addicted to their phone they are. And it's not that I'm being rude, but right, I'm here, I'm spending time with Jennifer right now. And ladies and gentlemen, write this down right now. Maybe this is what you need to work on in your business. Are you present in your business? Are you really present in your business? Are you present when you're with your wife? Are you present when you're with your husband? Are you present when you're with your kids? And what I mean by that, Jennifer, so many times, right, where we can be at the dinner table, and this breaks my heart because every time I go and have dinner or we go somewhere and eat, and it's like I see a family of four because I like to eat by myself sometimes for lunch and at dinner. Like I just, it's me if I'm traveling by myself, I'd rather just have my own alone time to reflect. But it breaks my heart when I walk into a restaurant and I see a family of four and no one's conversing. They're just looking at their phones and they're not even present at dinner.
Yeah. And sometimes it's getting to the point to where they don't even know how to have conversations with each other. And that really breaks my heart too. And one of the things that we do to combat that is we actually play a game at dinner. It's called We Have a Character. So we start picking out characters from movies, it could be movies, TV shows, even we recently got our daughter Mario Kart for the little Nintendo, and so she has those characters. So and it sparks so much conversation by just this. I have a character game. I never know what my kids are going to say. I have an 18-year-old and I have an 8-year-old, and I don't know what's going to come out of their mouths, while we're having dinner playing this game. But it's such a fun time to hang out with my kids and my husband, and to kind of think like their mind thinks too. Like we had one character the other day that nobody could think of it, and it came to find out it was Horton from Horton Hears a Who.
Are you an aspiring speaker? Do you have a book that you've been wanting to write for months, maybe even years? Or are you an aspiring podcaster? You want to start that podcast like the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and don't know where to start? Well, at Daniel Gomez Enterprises, we can help you do all three. We can help you become that paid speaker, share your story to the world, write your book, and get your podcast launched and help you produce it. We'd love to help you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. We can help you become that paid speaker, write that book, and launch your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now. The one thing I can say, just observing you, you're an amazing mom. And, you had your daughter at the mastermind that we were at in Orlando. And
You wound up being the only kid.
yeah, she was real respectful. And that, so you're teaching her well. So let's shift gears real quick. Because people are hearing the word lead generation. What made you want to go into business for yourself, right? You were very successful. You were helping run a real estate brokerage. You were doing amazing in the real estate world. Where did this idea that, you know what, I want to have my own business. I want to, and was get desky from the get-go, or talk to us about that. Why did you want to leave a comfort zone where you were successful and open up your own get desky entrepreneur journey? Yeah.
Um, you know, Real estate is fabulous. It comes with a lot of learning curves and a lot of great lessons. Um, but I always felt like there was something more. And even when I started working with the broker that I worked with to help him grow his brokerage and run it, um, he even said, like, he's like, you're so sharp and you're so smart. He's like, you just need to be a broker. And I'm like, I don't want to have that liability, because being a broker is a lot of liability. and not a lot of control. And so that was probably the first time that someone outside of my mom was like, you could totally do this. Which, by the way, my mom has been hammering me since I was about 25. You need to do something on your own. Um, and so that was kind of like the first like subliminal message. And as as I got into the real estate business, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Um, but my heart was called to something else. And it was really called to the remote workspace, and also to give a space for moms to be able to not only uh, stay at home, but also be present and provide for their families at the same time in a workplace where they're not going to be micromanaged. They're not going to be, you know, looked down on because their kid is sick today and they need to take the day off. Kind of breaking a lot of those norms that, women deal with, just subliminally because sometimes their bosses don't really quite understand. Um, and so really kind of bringing that together to where moms can do both at the same time and not feel guilty about one or the other.
So Get Desky employs only moms. Is that what you're saying?
We actually, no, not now because we actually have two college interns. But it is a mission of Get Deskies is to show the world that it is possible to be a wife and a mom, but also operate a business and not have to sacrifice one over the other.
So where did the idea or the concept of Get Desky come from, right? And in case, right, Desky, Desky. So I got Desky with Jennifer Bennett and her team. We're honored to be on board with them. So if you are listening to this episode and you need some advice and right with assistance in your back end, get with Jennifer. We're definitely going to put all her information here. And while we're here, I want to give a shout out to Beyond Publishing. DG Publishing, we do a lot of publishing here. And the beautiful thing is that we do kids' books, coloring books, autobiographies, but Michael D. Butler and Beyond Publishing, reach out to them. They will ghostwrite your book. They will ghostwrite your book. So if you're looking for a ghostwriter, get with Beyond Publishing and Michael D. Butler. And if you need a desky, get with Jennifer Bennett. Woo! There you go. That was your plug. You got your own commercial. I'm being shameless right now. So where did this concept come from, Jennifer?
Yeah, so it came from my mom and I wanted to start a business together. And we thought about, well, let's just do transaction coordination for real estate agents. Because I was really good at doing paperwork. So I was really good at, getting sales and doing this stuff, but also just staying on top of my paperwork. And we thought about doing that, and it quickly evolved to we're not leveraging the skill sets that both me and my mom possess. My mom has successfully ran her her and her husband's business, a consulting career from home while she raised me. Like he would travel all over, and she was a remote worker before it was even cool. Um, and so leveraging her strengths and the strengths that I had with technology and efficiency, that's where we really came in to build those systems, those processes, but also just the knowledge that comes from being around for so long.
Yeah. Well, how many clients do you serve now that you've been in business for over 20
So
years?
we have 15 right now.
Yeah.
My goal by the end of the year is to have 20. Um, and I don't take every single person that calls me, because I want to make sure that the clients that I have, I can serve them with excellence. And so that means sometimes saying no to certain people because they don't fit, core values, or their business isn't ready for us. Because um,
So
a
so
lot of
so
business
stop there.
owners.
So Daniel Gomez Enterprises. How do you know that Daniel Gomez Enterprises was ready for Get Desky? I want the insight on this, right? Like because
Yeah, so
and I asked that. You know why I asked that? Because I'm going to do a post today because we're celebrating our 6 year of business. We hit 6 years, and I remember in year two, I wanted to be where I'm at now, and I can tell you, if God would have given me the business that we have now in 4 years ago, I would have crumbled under the stress.
yeah, because
And I'm just being
you
I'm
have
just
to
being
go through
honest.
it. You have to go through it. It's the same thing like we talked about the other day about sales. You have to put in your reps. You have to get the no's, you have to get the objections. It's the same thing like in business. You have to go through the hard days. You have to, have those stressful moments. You have to have all of these things, to be able to get to that next step. So many people want to stair step up. They see the staircase, but they're like, but I can take 5 steps, but you're missing the lessons in each step along the way. Um,
And
and so,
that's bad because that's where they self implode, they self sabotage, and I think about all the people that entered 2020 and 2021 that didn't have the proper foundation, right? Because you're talking about you have to have the proper foundation, and they didn't make it out of 2021 and
mm-mm,
couldn't survive, right? The pressures of what that era did for us with COVID and everything. And it's like either it made you stronger or it really exposed your weaknesses and it took you under.
yeah. And the sad thing is there's probably going to be a lot more in 2024 and 2025, especially with the way that the market is right now. Because a lot of those people that got funding, the banksters are going to start calling that. So it's going to start getting harder and harder for those people to get, that funding that's not going to be crowdsourced, which means they're going to have to go back to the way we love to do sales, which is just go make friends and build relationships with people, and things just kind of have that way of working out.
Yeah.
Um,
So going back to my
so
question,
let's,
how was it Daniel Gomez Enterprises? How do you know I was ready for you, Jennifer, and Get Desky?
Yeah, so a few things. I look for, do you already have multiple arms of your business? Like you already have a book, you have 2 different events that you um, do all the time. You have a lot of moving parts going on in your business, and I called you the other day and I'm like, hey, you're looking for a sales team. What do you need? And I just kind of like was like, do you have all these things? And you're like, nope. And then you go, you're hired. So it comes down to, you know,
And,
this,
and it was that conversation, ladies and gentlemen, was that simple. But I don't want you to miss what Jennifer said earlier, right? She says she misses the way of how business and sales should be. You go out there and you meet people. Me and Jennifer met in person November of 2023, which is November, December, January, almost 3 months ago, if not over 3 months ago. And because we've kind of stayed in touch and because we've developed a relationship, it's like when I was ready, I was like, let's do it, right? I didn't question you because
yeah,
I trusted you.
yeah, because we'd built that rapport. We'd had different conversations. You knew like the end of November, December was just crazy. Like God was really testing anything and everything. But I stayed true to my path and I said no, like the famous saying is no Satan, and I stayed true to myself. And then I circle back around and I'm like, Daniel, this is what you need, XYZ. And he's like, okay, let's go. So it goes back to you can go and you can make those friendships. And when you are able to come in earnest to be like, look, I know exactly what you need. This is XYZ. You're like, take my money, And so it goes back to like my dad's era. If he wanted to up level his career, he'd go hang out at the bar at whatever street it was at because, so and so with, this company visits that place on Tuesday or Wednesday night. And he wanted to just have an opportunity to just go and have a drink and strike conversation with them. That's the same thing that we did. We hung out at this mastermind, we chatted. You saw my kid. She was running around everywhere, swimming in the pool. I think every one of y'all turned on some movie for her in that pool. She was totally spoiled, but we just struck up conversation and just kept going from there. And then when you needed something, I was like, hey, I have a solution for you. And so
So,
it really
so,
is
so
that
I,
easy.
I I love what you said. I love what you said, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you're wondering, why isn't my business growing? Why am I not going to the next level? I think you really need to be honest with yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Do I really have services and products that the marketplace needs? Do I really have a problem that I solve in the marketplace? Because really, money exchanges hands, Jennifer, when a problem is solved. And
Yeah.
and if you don't have a product or a service that is solving a problem, like Sticker Shock, right? You're going to be coming to Sticker Shock. We're excited to have you March 8th and 9th, but Sticker Shock teaches you how to build a speaking business. Many people don't know where to start in speaking. I know I didn't. And people say, man, Daniel, thank you so much, right? They come and you meet other podcasters, you meet new speakers, intermediate speakers, but we solve the problem of, hey, if you want to start a speaking business or you want to share your story, we're going to take you from A to B, and we solve that problem, and we're great at it, right? We're one of the best at it, if not the best. I would say we're the best. I challenge anybody on that. And we can settle that on the stage.
Shameless plug.
We can settle that
Another
on the
shameless
stage.
plug.
But it's like so many people, that's what I hear you saying is like you got to have something the marketplace wants. And because if you don't, right? Because the thing is this, if you bring on somebody on board with Get Desky that doesn't have a product or service, that it's not going to help, right? It has to be able to solve a problem. And that's what I hear you saying.
Yeah. And you have to have the people skills to be able to solve that problem, and to eloquently say, hey, you have this problem. I know how to solve it. I mean, I think we were on the phone like 5 minutes and you were like, wait, what? I need what for what? I'm building the sales team. And, so it was, I know what I have and I know the value that I bring. And that's the other thing that I think people really need to sit and digest is if you have something for the marketplace, know your value, like, and know how to sell it. Really sit with it. If you have to call friends and be like, look, I need to practice this, give me all the reasons why you would say no to this, do it. I don't care. Grant Cardone has a great program that talks about that does sales, and he does like sales repetitions where you could go and like literally you could practice your sales pitch. There's other online spaces that have that. Go take advantage of them, because until you start saying it and start doing it over and over again and it becomes second nature to you, um
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to just come up to those higher level people and be like, this is exactly what you need, and here's how much it costs.
You know what? I have a question for you because, right, you're a female, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's not just females, but it's if a male or female have a distaste for sales, do you think it's because of the fear of rejection and their own insecurities? Let me rephrase that. If a human being, and I say women because most women kind of, right, they say you sound salesy, or a man says you sound salesy. It's like, is that the distaste they have because of the fact that they fear rejection themselves as they were to get into the sales industry and be an account exec?
No, I don't think it's fear
What is it?
of rejection. I think they're too emotionally invested of the outcome.
Mm,
So, one of the things when I was working with real estate agents and they were like, well, gosh, Jennifer, I have to have this sale, like XYZ. And I'm like, yes, you do, but you're emotionally invested in it. And when you put emotions into any thought, any process, anything you do, you are not making a logical and rational decision at all. So you have to remove the emotional outcome that comes from people saying yes. And you have to focus on the experience for the person. You have to think, you know, how can I show up and make this experience the best that it could possibly be for this person?
Love it. What is one of the best business advice that you've ever received?
Friends and family stop at the door.
Friends and family stop at the door. Tell me, what do you mean
Friends
by
and
that?
family. That means that when they come in to the business sense, they're not a friend, they're not family. They are a part of this business. Whether that's my mom, who's my co-founder, or if that's my friend that comes in and wants to work with us, whatever decisions that are made inside of the business atmosphere are business strictly. We don't bring it to the dinner table. We don't bring it to family gatherings. We don't bring it outside of anywhere else. And we 100% stick to that. I mean, because me and my mom, we worked together. You were there at the mastermind. I had her with me. Um, and we are very strict about the fact that, you know, if we're going to dinner and it's as a family, we don't talk about anything about Dedeski. You know, we don't even bring it up. You know, we had a killer year last year. We 4x'd our revenue. So, but you know,
Yeah.
we don't do
Woo!
that. Um,
That was easy.
That was easy.
if only. Um, but we don't do that outside of, you know, the confines of our workspace. You know, if we go to lunch and we say that this is a work thing, then we don't invite my dad and my husband and my kids to go. But if it's, you know, for family, it's family time.
So, what is a scripture or a quote that you rely on in times of adversity? What is a scripture
Oh,
quote that Jennifer relies on in times of adversity?
the quote that I always go back to is nothing worth having is easy.
Mm. So you remind yourself of that quote when things get challenging.
Yes,
That
everything that is worth having is hard. I mean, my marriage, my kids, you know, my business, all of it. It's all worth the hard things that you go through.
I love it. How does somebody get a hold of Jennifer Bennett to work with Get Desky? How do we get a hold of you?
You can find me on all the socials. So on Facebook, I'm Jennifer Greer Bennett. On LinkedIn, I'm also Jennifer Bennett. Um, and then you can email me as well. We can drop the link to that. It's hello@getdesky.com.
Hello at
And also,
getdesky.com. I love it. Woo! Hello.
yeah, so you can find me anywhere. You can also ask Daniel. He would be more than happy to give you an intro to us. We love helping our clients succeed and helping serve them with excellence.
Well, it's been an honor to have you on our show today. You've been a huge, huge blessing. And thank you for joining us, Jennifer. And we are going to put all her information here on the show notes of the Daniel Gomez Inspires show. So we'll have that on our show notes. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to share your story on stage, if you want to grow your business through speaking, like it's helped me grow my business tremendously, I want to see you at Sticker Shock March 8th and 9th. Reach out to me. Send me an email at daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. That's daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. I want to see you at Sticker Shock. You're going to meet other amazing, powerful speakers, and it's going to change your life. Sticker Shock is more than a speaking academy. It's an experience. And I want to thank our guests again, once again, Jennifer being here with us. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll have all her contact information on our show notes. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, with another amazing guest here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Remember, go back, study your notes, listen to what we talked about today, because maybe the golden clue you're looking for was just in this episode and you missed it because you didn't really listen to learn, to grow yourself, and to grow your business. Until next week, with another amazing guest on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. We love you, and thank you for making us one of the world's top podcasts. Thank you so much. This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.